So I wanted to respond to something I saw on LinkedIn, and it was a post that a woman made saying that teachers were really frustrated with the implementation of restorative justice and some social emotional learning work because they felt like students were not receiving consequences, behaviors were getting worse, all the things. And my comment on that post was that one thing that I see people doing in the system of education is putting Band-Aids on solutions that need an antibiotic or need to be extracted, needs major surgery. Because you have to look at the systems of culture and climate. Okay? If you are trying to go into a school where equity is not within instruction, it is not within the way that you greet students, it is not within the way that classroom environments are managed, and I won't even say managed, but for their terms managed, but how they should be cultivated. If there is a compliance-driven framework that drives everything from student outcomes, from student outcomes to teacher growth to even leadership, then of course restorative justice wasn't going to work. And then the other part of that is that restorative justice work and social emotional learning work is very complex, very layered, and very nuanced because it requires a certain level of buy-in from the soul of the educators and the leaders who are implementing that work. So for example, if you are trying to do restorative circles and you've never had conversations about dialogue and understanding the many ways that people use language to engage with one another and understanding what is normal for the students in your building and then building up on the value that they bring into the learning space and helping them build safe spaces where they don't harm each other but they can have courageous and brave conversations with each other. If you don't even understand that, if you as the adult have not been given space to dive into that, to see what that means, to unpack even the way that you have formed norms around conversation and dialogue. There's so much that has to be done, and I think a lot of times what we see in schools is that people are doing this work thinking, oh, just give me a PD here and a PD there and we're ready to implement it. And this is not something that I think is happening. I'm in Arkansas, and I know a specific charter school where this is happening, where teachers have restorative justice handbooks, but they have not been given the professional development to even unpack what they should be doing within themselves, in their leadership identity, in their educational identity, let alone working with students who come from complex and diverse backgrounds. Y'all can't give this work a bad rap. I will not, in my sphere of the world, allow for culturally responsive teaching, allow for social emotional learning, allow for restorative justice work to be demonized when it's really the people who are bringing the work to the school. Great idea. I'm not saying you shouldn't bring it, but it's a little more nuanced, it's a little more layered, and this is why I do the work that I do. And this is why I need people to understand that this is the work that is worth investing in. You have to bring experts, and they need to be black and brown folks. I'm just going to say it. You need to bring black and brown experts into your buildings, into your districts to help you not just deliver PDs, because I love to do that. I do it by the science of adult learning. I've always heard that I bring it in a way that doesn't necessarily make people feel like they're to blame, but it gives them agency, and it also gives them responsibility on how to take the content around justice, around equity, around all of those words and phrases and mobilize it in their classrooms and in their relationships with students, in their relationships with their parents, their families, their communities, all the things. But beyond me delivering PDs, your leadership groups need to have specific coaching. There needs to be coaching around how are you going to develop teachers' capacity. I spent a whole year developing capacity to understand how the brain learns, the science of how the brain learns, right? Literally, what is happening in the amygdala, how does that impact learning? The reptilian, the limbic region, the neocortex, the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. Understanding all of these components in relation to planning lessons and designing learning environments that are organic and will naturally cultivate the student genius that we know they have. I could go on and on, so I won't hold this too much longer, but I say all of that to say this. We have to do more than think that we can buy a curriculum and that's going to fix the children. First of all, we need to quit thinking it's our job to fix the children. We don't need to fix the children. A lot of times it's the grown people that need to go back and unpack some of the mindsets, the norms, the culture, the behaviors that we have normalized as appropriate or okay and all the things. But we need to also invest in leadership and supporting you all as leaders to really cultivate and develop systems, because the systems do the work. The systems keep the work in order, and the system makes sure that the work is sustainable. So I work with district teams, school teams, to develop systems around how you develop, or should I say, how you curate professional development, whether that's PD workshops, how you coach, how you observe, how you provide feedback, how you make agendas for PLCs, how you run those PLCs, how you come back and use wide feedback. Like, we go on and on and on. So I'm coming. Gotta go get my food. But I say all of that to just kind of give my take. This is not really about any product I'm building or any service I have. Thank you. You can put it right there. This is just, hot sauce will be good, and ketchup. But I just came on here to just kind of rant and give that rage about education, about social emotional learning, restorative justice, culturally responsive teaching. The things work, but you need to look at the way that you're rolling them out. It's not a Band-Aid. The babies deserve more than a Band-Aid. We got to do deeper work. All right, peace.